I'm your host, Davida Shinsky, and you're listening to Live Without Limits Dreams Come True with the Right Mindset. And today's presentation is titled Breaking Up with Someone You Love and How Do You Know and How to Handle It. In relationships, rough patches happen, and sometimes we wonder whether it makes sense to go our separate ways or to stay together. Yet maybe you've been wondering about the above for quite some time. For you, right now, it makes sense to end things. However, this doesn't mean it's easy. Breaking up with someone that you love is complicated. You care about them. You don't want to hurt them, but you know things just aren't working. So, how do you go about this in the right way? What should you know? And in this presentation, we're going to help you navigate that difficult decision. And before I really get into it, I want to talk about the fact that during the latter part of the 20th century and even today, we're seeing a higher number of divorces. And if you look back to during the really conservative time prior to the 1950s, or rather the 1960s, because that's when things began to really change, when women started to get out and work and be equal with men, that we had a situation where the woman was the one who took care of the home and took care of the children and raised them, while the husband went out to work and he was the breadwinner. So what happened? You were in dysfunctional families, bad relationships, and the woman stayed because she had no option. Then, as things began to change, what was happening was you were seeing poor relationships because when you come from a dysfunctional family where it's an unhealthy relationship, you tend to gravitate to and form unhealthy relationships. But as people became more aware, what happened? Then you started seeing more conflicts, and women realized they didn't have to depend on the man for financial reasons anymore. They could go out and work and bring in the income, and therefore there was a higher divorce rate because now we need to learn how to form healthy relationships. So, how do you know when to break up with someone that you love? Ups and downs in a relationship are completely normal. No one can expect a fairy tale ending 100% of the time. And when two separate individuals commit to one another, you're bound to find some differences that create conflict and disagreements. But sometimes love truly isn't enough. Personalities clash in the wrong ways. Or perhaps there's just been too much resentment that you find yourself and your partner unable to overcome. So, put simply, it sucks. But you know deep down that you both could find better matches and be happier living separate lives. So, what are the signs that relationships are over? There are also a few telltale signs that a relationship is over before anyone has actually permanently pulled the plug. How do you know when breaking up with someone that you love is the right choice? Well, here are some telltale signs. You've broken up and gotten back together many times. There's a reason that you and your partner keep ending things, and despite reconciliation, a breakup is still on the table. There are only so many times a couple can play this yo yo game of breaking up and then getting back together, especially if you're no longer young adults or teens. Think about why breakups continually happen with the two of you. It's possible that these are the reasons it's not meant to be, but it's hard to admit. You, your needs are not being met. This is very matter of fact, and unfortunately needs vary person to person. Furthermore, some people will be able to meet your needs and some won't, and vice versa. This may again come down to a difference in personalities. If you aren't sure whether your needs are getting met or are not, then what you and your partner's need involve, you should uncover what each of your love languages are. And this can help you even determine whether you're willing to meet each other's needs or not. Trust is lost. The foundations of good relationships involve trust and communication. If one of these are unraveling, then you may be better off going your separate ways. At the same time, trust can be rebuilt, but this really varies from situation to situation and person to person. Your core values don't line up. If you value family and your partner doesn't, it's going to create conflict. If you value ambition and they don't, again, it's going to create conflict. Your core values and future vision should match. If they don't, you might be better off with someone who aligns with you better. You're experiencing physical and emotional abuse. There should be zero tolerance for any kind of abuse, physical or emotion. Watch for the signs of abuse and end things if things lean toward this toxic territory. This could be the difference between your mental health getting destroyed versus not being destroyed. You you continually think about breaking up. If you're consistently and constantly thinking about how you're not right for one another and it hasn't really left your mind, it's probably a clear indication that you shouldn't be together and that you aren't right for one another. So how do I break up with someone that I still love? From the above signs, maybe you're determining that breaking up with someone that you love is still inevitable. It's time to move on. So, how can you go about breaking up with someone that you love in the best way possible? Know your why and ensure that this breakup is truly what you want and potentially need. Issues have layers. Sometimes people back these layers can prove that breaking up isn't the best case scenario. In fact, maybe you and your partner is simply needing more support and need more to and better to communicate what you feel and what your needs are. Have an honest and open conversation. Talk about what you both want out of life. If it's not the same, it's clear that it's an indicator that you shouldn't stick it out. At the same time, there should be something that you do early on in a relationship rather than a last ditch effort. Yet, if you still love that person, you can help to determine what each other's visions entail to ensure this and the is the right decision. Stick with the decision that you make. If you decide to work on things, commit to that for the length of time. If you decide to end things, commit to that. Don't be wishy washy. This can get confusing from time to time for you and for them. Break up in person, not via text or phone. You have a relationship history with this person, respect wise, and being able to move on with the wise decision. Have the breakup discussion in person. Make sure that they know that you want to have a serious conversation and do it in a place where you and your partner feel comfortable. Make sure to answer any questions that you have. They are going to be hurt, but it doesn't help to stonewall. Again, be open and honest and let them know how and talk from your point of view without accusations. Accept it that it will be a rough road ahead. Breaking up isn't easy. You're going to have moments where you miss them and where you feel lonely. Be kind to yourself and allow yourself to feel those feelings. At the same time, lean on your support system. Friends and family are there for you. Can you love someone but still want to break up? Unfortunately, yes. Breaking up with someone that you love is something that happens all the time. Not everyone is right for each other. And despite how much you care, sometimes the logistics and values just don't add up. The best thing that you can do after breaking up is to create boundaries between you and your ex and stick with them, as well as take care of yourself. Give yourself time to grieve the relationship, even when you're the one doing the breaking up. It's still difficult. And it's also important for you to recognize that when there's an unhealthy relationship, because you don't want to remain in a toxic relationship. This is why I have a program that's called Change Your Thoughts, Transform Your Life, because it teaches you how to take control of your life and live the life that you were meant to live on your terms and not on someone else's terms.